Hello and welcome back to the Pinili podcast. It has been a hot minute. Is this the first solo episode I've done since 2025 has started? I think it might be. I apologize. I miss solo episodes. However, as you have been seeing and listening to, I should say, if you're watching here on YouTube, you've been seeing, there have been so many incredible guests on the podcast, and my plan, honestly, was to space all of them out every maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I was even going to do one a month, but they're just so juicy and just so relevant to everything I speak to you guys about on the podcast. And I've been getting such great feedback from all the guests, and you're picking up little different pieces of different ways to see the world and different perspectives. So I'm really, really happy that you're all enjoying it. There are still so many juicy episodes to come onto the podcast. But today I've got my camera out. I did my makeup because I'm doing a little bit of content, and I want to record a solo episode because honestly, I really, really miss it. I am using my small wireless Rode mic, as you can see, and I kind of feel weird doing this because this is normally like my content microphone. And I normally have like my bigger mic for podcasts, but I haven't got the attachment into my professional camera to do that yet. So yeah, maybe they'll make a comeback, or maybe I'll stick with this. I don't know. Anyway, how are you? How are you going? If you're watching here on YouTube, let me know in the comments how your 2025 has started, what's been happening. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't know this, but I spent the last half of January in Japan. So I had a Japanuary, and I have decided that I want to have a holiday at the start of the year every single year. I didn't take time off completely. I just didn't do calls, but I was kind of doing this hybrid of like leisure, pleasure, and also a bit of business, which I love. You know, I truly created this business so I was able to travel and work. It has never been my intention that, and I'm sure I will get to the point where I can take like, I don't know, a whole month off or something like that. But I love being able to create when I travel. I make more money when I travel because I'm just in this spaciousness and I feel expansive. And that's a whole other topic in itself. But Japan was great. I loved it. I learned snowboarding for the very first time. I actually made a reel about it. Go and watch it, where I was talking about snowboarding being such a cathartic experience. It was such a reparenting experience for my inner child, and I didn't even realize it was going to be like that. So yeah, that is something. Like, I'm an eldest daughter. I'm a high achiever. I want to be good at everything from the first go, and snowboarding I wasn't. I eventually picked it up, which soothed my ego. But yeah, it was just this experience where I really had to coach the little girl in me. But I loved it. I love Japan. I love the food. I love the shopping. And I would definitely go back. But starting your year on holiday is where it's at. I absolutely love it. Anyway, let's get in. Oh, actually, before we get into the episode, it's going to be like a short, punchy first solo episode back, I should say. And it's just something like very, very tangible that I want you to start implementing, and I think you're absolutely going to love it. But before we get into it, at this time of this podcast, we are starting the enrollment process for Become the CEO. So Become the CEO is a 6-month hybrid mastermind for female online coaches or service providers. This is all about building a business that's sustainable, a business that is a legacy of yours, a business that is scaling 10, 20, 30K months, and a business where you feel like it's not taking over your life. And exactly what I explained is I have always had the intention to build a business where I could take it with me on a trip and not feel like I missed out on parts of trips because I had to work, or I felt like it was bringing me down, or I wasn't structuring my week to be able to have flow and expansiveness when travel, when in fact I had so much expansiveness and my clients had so many wins in January. And so Become the CEO is so special to me because I have created it as this this mastermind where I hold space for you to, yes, learn my methodologies, but also tap into your own magic and really bring it out and be able to create something that's sustainable. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned over the past few years. It's all fun and games to create an online business, but if you can't sustain it, whether that's money, clients, responsibilities, you're always going to fall short. So we are currently in enrollment for that. And I think by the time I record this, maybe, it depends when you watch this, but I have a brand new free masterclass around the 4 energetic and strategic shifts that I took to build my business. And this masterclass is insane because it's not like free masterclasses where you watch it and you're like, oh, yeah, like I already knew that, or, that's like I didn't really get much from there, and you feel like you've just wasted 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes even 90 minutes of your time. No, this is something where each section you can finish the masterclass and go and straight away take action. Like it is so tangible because I'm teaching you some things that I would teach women inside of Become the CEO. So if you want to get a taste of the way that I coach, my methodologies, highly recommend jumping into that. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. And this is going to be applicable whether you have a business, whether you don't, you're just working on yourself as a woman, you're a career woman, and you really just want to change the trajectory of your life this year. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit overwhelming or a little bit scary, but it needs to come from the way that you are being. Now, let me explain something that is thrown around time and time again. When we are making a change in our life, and anyone that has done any Mindset 101 personal development, like you know this, it's the saying like fake it till you make it, or just start to embody and you'll become that person. Now, I've said this on several podcast episodes before, is I call a little bit of bullshit on the whole fake it till you make it, and I'm going to explain why. The fake it till you make it, yes, there is a degree that it can work, but you need to have that underlying subconscious belief that it is going to work, and you need to have enough connection already to be able, for your brain to be able to take on board how you are trying to be or who you are trying to embody. And I'm going to give a really clear example to help you this year that I think is just profound. It's absolutely profound. So if you think about wanting to become a millionaire, and I'm just going to use that as the example, but I want you, use your brain, insert whatever you want to become, embody this year. So if it's a millionaire, use this example. If it's someone with a 5-figure business, use that example. If it's maybe in your 9 to 5, you're a career girly, and in your 9 to 5, you are at maybe the lowest admin role, and you want to go to the senior admin role, okay, you choose what fits. But I'm going to just show you the formula, or the way, not even a formula, just the way to kind of position yourself on your day-to-day life. So using that, just act like a millionaire and you'll become a millionaire. Now, there's so much wrong with that, because if you are so far from reaching that, or it feels very foreign to you and your brain can't connect to that, so maybe consciously, I actually had this discussion with my client this morning on our call, so maybe consciously, you go, that sounds really good, because I do want that. I do want to become a millionaire. I do want to have those things that a millionaire has. I want to look at my business. I want to have this multi-7-figure business. That's who I envision. Or I want to work my way up in my company or whoever I work for, and I want to bring in 7 figures, or I want that for my investment. So again, whatever fits, choose a scenario. And where the disconnect becomes is because imagine that you are here, and right now, if you're listening to this, you can't see this, but I'm basically, my left hand is on one side of the screen, my right hand is on the other. So imagine you're here, my left hand on one side, and imagine you are wanting this, my right hand on the other side of the screen. There's all of this space in between this. Now, if this space, like let's say you're making, I don't know, $200,000 a year, and you want to make $1 million, pardon me, you want to make $1 million a year, there's so much space there where, yes, there's kind of the belief because you've started making money, you're maybe exposing yourself to people that maybe make a bit more money than you know there's awareness, you also know like realistically that is something that people achieve, right? That's your belief, but it's not quite there, the belief that it is possible for you or how to make it possible. And so what most people do is they go, okay, if I'm going to act like a millionaire, what would a millionaire do? And they freak themselves out by saying, well, you know, a millionaire would have all these designer handbags, or a millionaire would go buy a new car, or get a lease on a brand new car, and they live above their means. Or a millionaire would, and I don't mean the millionaire lives above their means, but I mean that it's like, okay, well, if a millionaire has this type of car, then I need to, and I can just like, you know, energetically shift because I need to like meet myself there. This is what I see like in the manifestation industry as well, is like you need to expand yourself and you'll find a way to make it work. I see this thrown around with investments as well. It's like we need discernment with that advice. Just a side note, we need discernment when it comes to that advice because, yeah, okay, we could go get a loan to buy this brand new fancy car, that's above what we earn, and yeah, it may push us, but it may also push us into the scarcity lack mindset even more. And it's kind of like we are just running around in circles. So just be mindful of that as well, because I see that a lot in the manifestation industry and online is like, yes, you just got to jump in and go all in and feel the fear. And coaches who use this fear, like, why wouldn't, like, you should just jump in and invest, like you'll make it back, right? Any investments, this is just a side note, any investments you make into yourself, business, personal development, for your house, for your life, your health, make sure that you are understanding exactly what you're getting, and it's not so much of a stretch where it's just going to put you in this scarcity, like showing up in a scarcity mindset all the time. Anyway, I digress. Back to the point. So you may think in your head right now is like, okay, a millionaire does this. And so people try to reach these habits or try to jump from, if we go back to the original example, jump from $200,000 a year. And there's like, okay, so a millionaire is buying this and doing all these fancy things. And then we just end up in cycles because we get stressed and even though consciously we really want the $1 million a year, subconsciously it's like, well, you know, I'm not making enough money and I'm getting stressed out and how am I going to do this? And subconsciously we are always going to be dictated by that belief system, right? So that's what I would call higher ranking habits. That is what most people do when it comes to the embodiment piece, is they jump straight to the higher ranking habits. And so there's like this huge gap and you're trying to make this huge leap and you fall flat every single time because it's just too much for your brain to actually neurologically wire you differently in the changing stages. So those are higher ranking habits. What I want you to start to adopt are lower ranking habits. So if we're going with this example again, but I just want to keep reminding you, fit whatever, like if you're like, I don't want to be a millionaire, I want to have someone who has 25 puppies on a farm. Great, like put that in this example. Ask yourself, when I become a millionaire, what would I actually be doing with my time? Okay? And so just to go over what we just said, a lot of the time people go to these higher ranking habits. Just bring it down and go to the lower ranking habits. So if you were making, let's say in your online business, you had $1 million a year, that works out to be, I think, like 83.333K ish, I think, per month. So if you were going from, let's say, $20,000 a month to $83,000 a month, what would you be doing on your day today? That wasn't a higher ranking habit and was instead a lower ranking habit. And you might say to yourself, well, I would definitely be going Monday to Friday to the 8 a.m. Pilates class. I wouldn't just be waking up and starting work and getting frustrated and missing my workouts because I feel like I always have something to do. But see how that's such like, it seems, and I know that you listening or watching to this may be like, yeah, that's such an obvious thing. But the obvious things, that's why they're lower ranking habits. We kind of skip over them because we think it's too good to be true. But we need to adjust our nervous system, expand our capacity But we need to start to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And that's with lower ranking habits. Sometimes, yeah, that you need to take risks and you need to have faith in yourself to jump a little bit bigger. But if you just start at these small things, like, okay, well, if I was genuinely making $1 million a year, Monday to Friday, I would be going to that 8 a.m. Pilates class. No questions asked. And so you start by that lower ranking. And then it's like, okay, what else would I be doing? Well, I wouldn't be skipping meals to be working on my laptop. I would actually take a full lunchtime break and I would make myself a meal. And I would sit down and I would eat it and I would have like an hour or two off for lunch. And I know that these examples are like, well, that's so obvious. And because, it's just like the thing you would do. But these are the lower ranking habits. And I promise you, if you start to implement this idea, this insight this year, you are going to see so many shifts and really, really quickly. Because if you start doing the lower ranking habits, you start to expand, you start to shift your subconscious identity, and then you get to a new part of you. And then it's like, okay, so what would I feel safe now? It becomes normal. What would I do now? And what would I do now? And I'm not saying within the year, if your goal is $1 million, that this is like a guarantee to $1 million, just using this example, but I'm saying this is a guarantee that you are going to expand your nervous system and start to shift your subconscious belief system more and more and more versus just trying to leap and do the higher ranking habits. So do an audit of your life. Think about where you want to be by the end of the year. Think about how you can really truly break down and be consistent and go by the quarters of the year, because that's the easiest way, is to go by the quarters of the year. And to break it up into sprints, so you can actually see, yes, you should be reflecting on every single month, and every single month should kind of have its own theme, like what are we working on? But then by the end, like we're in February at time of this recording, so at the end of March, it's like you need to do a full overview of what is actually happening from quarter one. What has worked really well and what has been the same? Like there is no progress. I promise you, my clients who reflect every single week, and reflection doesn't mean you need to sit down for 5 hours with your journal. It can be as simple as in your phone notes, like voice message yourself if you can't be bothered to type out something or write something. And you get so objective. Like this is what worked and why, and this is what didn't work. That's a bit of a tongue twister. But you keep reflecting and you keep understanding, and this is where you can start to see, okay, what lower ranking habits can I start to implement right now? And then as you can see, it's the compound effect, the 1% every day. This is what I'm talking about. The 1% every day is going to make change versus just trying harder every single month, trying to make these big leaps and falling back into the same cycles. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to be easy. It's like, yep, okay, I'm going to just do my 8 a.m. Pilates class because that's what I would do. No, there's going to be adjustment. There's going to be resistance that your brain is also going to tell you why you shouldn't do it, or why you should just wait, or why now's not a good time. But this is why this type of work is so powerful and so important, because you need to actually learn the discernment of when am I just sabotaging myself and when do I actually need to push myself to get out of the comfort zone that I'm currently in and to expand the comfort zone that I am currently in. So I hope that this has given you some insight into actually making these incremental changes for this year. If you're watching here on YouTube, let me know in the comments if this has helped you, what insights came up for you. And if you are listening to this, I would love for you, and also on YouTube, for everyone to subscribe to the podcast. But if you have a question and you're listening to this, or you have an insight, share it on your story, tag me, or slide into my DMs. Like, I love having conversations with all of you from the podcast. But I hope this has helped, and I can't wait to see you in the next solo episode. I will speak to you soon. Bye.